If every liberal arts graduate had to physically fistfight a factory worker for government funding, would anyone ever study gender theory ever again? Oh. I asked Reddit to create the most offensive list of political hypothetical questions it could imagine. I haven't seen it yet. So here we go. If every liberal arts graduate had to physically fistfight a factory worker for government funding, would anyone ever study gender theory ever again? Oh. Wait, do they have to win? Because I'm sure that some of these well-meaning ladies and shimsies and what do I call some of these people? Gender studies. Gender studies. If they had to win, I'm sure some of them would try. You might have some giant, I almost said tranny, as in transmission. You might have some giant trans folk out there who could whoop some ass. But on the whole, I think the gender study degrees would cease to exist. Most of your average factory workers are hardened and angry, bitter men who would happily claw your eyes out just for the opportunity to see color. Hey, if you're enjoying my fat face, do me a favor and like, comment, and subscribe. It enables me to do a little bit more of this kind of content and makes the AI think that I'm pretty good at this, even if I'm not. Thanks, buddies. Next question. If conservatives had to live 1 year under every law they propose for others, starting with healthcare, how many would survive the first month? Oh, well, I know a lot of very old conservatives who rely heavily on the socialist benefit of Medicare. It seems like socialism is bad, except when it's their medical care. And, if we just start plucking that stuff away, because, socialism bad, we might see a sudden decline in the numbers of elderly folks able to afford to live in this brand new extreme capitalism. If owning the libs required passing a basic grammar test, would half of Twitter go dark overnight? Well, certainly the redneck portion would struggle. And a lot of the time, it's hard for them to craft a meaningful insult against the liberals when they're seething red and fury for all their Christian ideologues and talking heads that they circle jerk to. Don't get me wrong, I circle jerk to a couple talking heads myself. I'm a talking head, and I'm circle jerking right now with myself. Would half of Twitter go dark overnight? I think the education level of the conservatives will go up. I think their hatred runs deep, and they'll do anything to burn the libs down. If anything, this might lead to a greater level of understanding of the English language. If leftists had to build their utopia without using anything invented by capitalism, would the revolution start with TikTok or just end with a campfire and vibes? Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Hang on, I have to reread this real quick. Anything invented by capitalism. Oh, bro, capitalism is the fire that allows us to sweep through the Stone Age. Without capitalism, we and go back to what is the earliest form of capitalism? Sex for trade. Sex for trade. They couldn't even get a spear for themselves. They would have no clothing. It'd be pure hunter-gatherer. It'd be naked and afraid right from the start. Bro, there's nothing. There's nothing. Maybe they would have spears, actually. They'd have rocks, for sure. They'd probably have fire. Probably. There'd be some good vibes. I'll give you that. But as soon as the first freeze settled in, yeah. Just the campfire and vibes, bro. If gun rights activists had to pass a mental health evaluation stricter than the airport TSA, How many would be armed versus committed? I know some people right now, right this very second, who are both gun owners and extremely unstable. And I know them personally. I haven't turned them in because snitches be bitches. But if I found out tomorrow that one of them had shot themselves in a fit of depression or something like that, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. But I really do believe that everyone is, mentally as unstable as they may or may not be, as long as they're not actively hallucinating, is welcome to explore the depths of their mortality in whatever way they see fit. And if that means turning the gun on themselves, well then by golly, George Washington done said, you can just go kill yourself if you want. That's a quote. That's a quote. Yep, he said that. If every vegan activist had to personally explain their beliefs to a starving family in a war-torn country, would they double down or just order the lamb? Being a vegan is the kind of thing that you could only do if you were an incredibly pampered person living in a first world country. All these white progressive vegans out there, I'm bashing on the progressives right now, who are just like, yeah, it's so rude and mean to the animals, it's bad for the environment, which it is. It's mean to the animals and it's bad for the environment. Tell it to a starving family of 6. You got your grandma, your grandpa, too old to hunt, your wife sitting home taking care of the kids, your 2 kids, and then it's you, the man, who is going to have to go out and hunt this thing down. Maybe Grandpa still has some youth in him left, enough to drag himself out there and try to hunt down a boar. At least he might be strong enough, because, strength goes last when you get old. Maybe he has the strength to come along and help sift that boar back. But I'll tell you what. Unless they have a huge stockpile of eggs and rice, or eggs is not vegan, never mind. Like, how the fuck are you gonna tell these people that they just gonna have to subsist on beans, beets, and rice? No, dude, no. Chickens, pork, and beef, my friend. Like, we need this. Like, this is something that the people of the war-torn third world countries, they look at this stuff like a pizza in the sky. Vegans are ridiculous. I know, I would just order the lamb. Even if I was like a browbeaten vegan, if I saw these like starving family, like, please, I'm hungry, I'd be like, okay, just fucking kill the lamb. If billionaires could only keep their wealth by doing 10 hours of physical labor per week on live stream, how fast would Elon start a podcast and how fast would Bernie demand a union? I think that Elon Musk is the kind of person where who would very easily do this labor. I think the cameras would already be on him as he's considering the question. The podcast is basically there at all times. There's always someone following him around with a camera, being just like, what you doing? What you doing, Elon? So, and Bernie would demand a union no matter what, because that is what Bernie is about. Bernie's just like, yes, fucking unions, bitch. We about this life. Every man, woman, and child, because at Bernie's heart, he is some kind of socialist, for sure. And socialists like unions because they protect the laborers. If every culture war issue was settled via a gladiator match between the most annoying influencers from each side, would we finally unify as a species out of sheer embarrassment? No, we wouldn't. Look, Jake Paul is still alive and well. No one has stopped watching his dumb boxing fights. We would not finally unify as a species. We'd just get more divided. It would be crazy. Don't be silly. Don't be silly, ChatGPT. If libertarians had to survive a week without any public infrastructure, would their first death be from untreated water or ironic gun accidents? Untreated water for sure. Untreated water for sure. They'd be like, is this potable? I ran out of tabs. I'm not sure. I gotta cook every single drop of water that I drink now. I think a lot of the hardcore libertarians would do fine. I think a lot of the chair libertarians would suffer a very funny fate. Drinking stuff that they couldn't possibly use. But how many of them would die? Probably not a lot. I think overall libertarians are usually pretty utilitarian people, and that's an honest assessment of them. Tell them that all the water is bad and they gotta start doing all this stuff themselves, they probably get right to it. If every politician who ever used religion to justify a law they had to pass a purity test based on their browsing history, how many would burst into flames on the pulpit? It seems like the most shocking and egregious offenses do in fact come from a lot of these super religious senators and politicians. It seems like religion is more of a tool for them to manipulate the masses. I see a lot of smoke and cinders in the future of this hypothetical. Yeah, that's where I see it going. And that's it, guys. I hope you all enjoyed this one. I really do, because I've reshot this about 5 times now, and I've been trying to get this one just right. And I hope this one is just right, so I don't want to shoot this again. Like, comment, subscribe.